Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we are about ready to get our butts kicked by Hurricane Ian.
Oh, you're going to get it.
Oh, no, it's happening. I mean, we've got the rain right now, and the winds are picking up and stuff like that. So we'll spend the next 2 days inside this storm.
Dang, that's crazy. I'm sorry. Well, I hope everyone stays safe.
Me too. I mean, it's like the winds first started showing up yesterday, but then this morning we walked out into the rain, and then we'll get gusts and stuff like that. But the actual part of this is supposed to hit around 1-2 o'clock this afternoon.
Wow. Okay. Well, please be safe.
Absolutely. I think I'm gonna sit here and watch some TV shows. But Bros is not streaming. So, but I've heard some good things, and I've also heard some bad things about it. What's up?
What have you heard bad about it? I have not heard anything bad about it yet.
That for a rom-com and a first-time rom-com like this, I've been told it's too close to porno.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so offended by that.
I'm just telling you what they told me. I didn't see it.
That's
I don't.
like, oh my God, I'm sorry. All I've seen my whole life in R-rated films is much more, close to porn love scenes depicted with straight people. How dare anyone? The first time, because this is the first. It is the first ever gay rom-com by a major movie studio. It's also the first ever major movie studio release featuring an entirely LGBTQ plus principal cast in history. And that's such way to attack it. Way for some I think that's homophobic to just say that.
No, I'm on your side. I just said what I've heard, and so
right.
Until I'm sure I'm going to love it. And
right, no, I'm sure you will, and I think most people will. But I think people who are homophobic will walk away and say that because there's nothing bad they can say about the film. The film is hilarious. It's heartwarming. It's like you laugh, you cry. Mm-hmm. It's like it's as good as any great historical rom-com. I mean, it's up there with When Harry Met Sally or Sleepless in Seattle or Bridesmaids, or it's one of the greatest. It's one of my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Oh man.
It immediately became one of my favorite films, and partly because I've never so closely before identified with the character. I've just never had that experience. I think as a gay man, we tend to, throughout history, identify more with the female character in a rom-com that we watch or something. So, when we get a movie, maybe even like Love, Simon, but it's like, he's in high school and you're like, okay, that's great. I wish I had that when I was in high school.
Yep.
But for a movie to come out that's age appropriate, that's dealing with issues that I have dealt with or may deal with, that's so closely like me and my circle of friends, I finally understand that whole notion of representation matters. I've never felt before, ever. In 48 years, I've never felt before what I felt in this movie, which was I felt uncomfortable at times because it hit so close to home.
Yep.
I was like almost embarrassed, and then I felt exhilarated. And I've nenever felt those. No character in any movie in history has ever made me feel that way before Billy Eichner's character in Bros. And it's outstanding. I mean, I just loved it. I got to interview him and his co-star Luke McFarlane recently, and my interviews with them are airing on my TV segment today, and they'll be on my website later today. And they're just fantastic, and they've been doing a lot of great press and promotion for this film because it is groundbreaking, but it also deserves it because when I went to the screening that I went to, people were laughing the whole time, and I'm in a small market. I kind of know most of the people who go to these screenings and stuff. And there were, I'd say, maybe about 50 to 60 people there. I think I was the only member of the LGBTQ community there. Mm-hmm. And I found that we were laughing at different times. But the people who weren't gay were still laughing constantly the whole time. I was laughing then, but there were some jokes that were written for the gays that maybe some straight people might not get. And so I'm laughing out loud then, and I'm like, oh God, they're probably thinking like, what is Ryan or something, but the point is they did such a good job at making this movie for everyone. It's not a movie for gay people. It's not a movie about, it's not even a movie about gay people. It's a movie about relationships and about people at different points in their lives featuring gay people. And the bottom line is, with any good story, and it's why we say escapism, going to a movie because you can walk in another man's shoes and you can relate to. I've never been in the army, but I go to war movies and I cry and I feel roused. I don't play sports, but when I see a great sports film, I'm cheering and I'm swaying in my seat and the suspense is getting to me and I'm into it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to be the people you see on screen. You know, we're not fantasy characters, but we love superheroes. You know, you can connect. It's because the story gets you. If a story connects to you on a universal level, and you can relate to it on a human level, it's got you in the palm of its hand. And this movie does that so well. And you will laugh as hard as you've ever laughed in any movie, because this is uncharted territory.
Yeah.
You know, we've not covered this before this way, so it's really fresh.
You see, I'm so glad that I brought that up of things that I've heard, because I would have never gotten this conversation out of you if I would not have brought that up. I mean, because
true.
because you show passion, you show compassion, and you show that, hey, look, open your eyes to the reality of life.
Right. And if you walked a day in my shoes, or spent your time in my body, in my life, what I've been subjected to watching, I mean, even just as an adult, all of the R-rated rom-coms that I've seen, and then to call this one pornographic. No, I'm sorry. That's offensive.
Yeah, because look at all the Seth Rogen movies and things like that. I mean,
oh my God, I can't. I can't even begin.
Hocus Pocus 2. Now, the one thing that I've heard about this, and I try to listen to as many people as possible, is they want to know why is it on TV and not in theaters that fans of this movie and this series want it on a big screen.
Yeah, that I can't answer, and it really should be. And I'm confused by that too. But I will say, 29 years after the first one, we're getting the sequel that was never meant to be.
Wow. And
it's just so great, because I always wanted, I think, those of us who saw it when it first came out in theaters in 1993 and loved it, and were few, and it didn't do well. And that's why there wasn't talk of a sequel. And it took almost 30 years now of love of fans to come to it, to find it, to herald it, for it to grow as a cult classic, for it to find its audience, its perennial audience, for the marketing and the merchandising to come out around Halloween time and the rest of it, for it to become the beloved classic that it is today. And in addition to that, the willingness and cheerleadingness of Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, who's reteaming as the Sanderson sisters, is so magical and so charming and so funny and still so great. And their chemistry is awesome. That it's just, hey, I already want a third one. Let's make this a trilogy already. It's great. It doesn't fall into the slump of what a lot of sequels do, which is where they just kind of find a way to shoehorn in the original plots. It has some light elements of that, but it also has a really great prequel chapter that's hilarious. And then the sequel part is fresh and new, introduces new characters, goes to new levels. The only problem that I had with the film, aside from I'd love to have seen it on the big screen, is that some of the special effects are lame. They're like, you can really see, you can be like, oh, that was a green screen. Unless the preview copy that I saw was not finished yet, but it didn't say anything about temporary effects or graphics or anything. So I think I saw the finished film, that's a pretty big deal. And that's maybe a reason why you wouldn't put it on the big screen, because if it looked bad on my large TV, it would look even more bad. And it's kind of unacceptable for a company like Disney, who certainly has the money to make live action Lion King look that real. And then to throw up Hocus Pocus 2 and make it look, and you can tell when the effects are, it should be excellent. I mean, the technology is there to do the lighting the right way and incorporate effects the right way. We see it all the time where I say, oh my God, the effects are getting better and better. You just cannot tell. And then, so to be able to tell, it's like score. It's like the musical score in a movie when you're not really supposed to notice it. It's supposed to be effective. It's supposed to affect you emotionally, but you shouldn't really notice it unless it's so outstanding it deserves an Oscar, or it's so bad that it's actually taking you out of the movie and distracting you from the dialogue or the story. The effects, you shouldn't really stop and be like, oh God, I can tell it's an effect.
Yep.
So that's a problem, but it's still a perfect movie, and I loved it. I've already watched it twice. I will watch it many times again. I really, really want a third one. I hope they're all on board. I hope it does very well on Disney Plus. I believe it will. I think everyone that loves Hocus Pocus is going to rally behind this and love this just as much.
Wow. I'm really excited to talk about Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, because that's where I fell in love with Brad Pitt. I mean, my God.
I mean, listen, I am a huge, prior to the Tom Cruise Brad Pitt movie, which I loved. I was obsessed with it because at the time that came out, I was already a huge fan of this book series, The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. I believe, picking up her fourth book in the series in 1995, I think it was, around the time the movie was coming out. And I started to grow my hair out to look like Tom Cruise in the movie like that, kind of do the whole vampire thing. And I had long hair for a couple of years, and I got her to sign my book at a book signing. And I'm in love with these books, and so they're very dear to me. And I do love the movie. But now we've got this TV series adapted into Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, airing on AMC and available to stream on AMC Plus. It's a part of their larger Immortal universe. So AMC is doing the Anne Rice's Immortal universe. So next year they're adapting her witch book series called The Mayfair Witches. So we've got that series to look forward to, and we may see some crossover at some point because we saw that in the books as well. But anyway, I love that they're doing it. Their commitment to it is great, and I'll let you know, as far as Interview with the Vampire goes, which premieres this Sunday, it's so perfect. It's so great. It's so different. They made enormous changes from the book, like in time and in characters, like huge. And I've read a lot about how so upset people are. And some people make very strong arguments about why not to change certain aspects about certain things. However, now that I've seen it, like a big change is it goes from, in the book, it takes place starting in 1791, and then goes. But in this TV show, they changed that to 1910. That's a huge leap. But what that does is it allows for diversity in casting and timelier issues. And it's in our century, and I think it's stronger for it because it gives all of the drama and the shock more bite. Yeah, there's one thing to deal with. Direct slavery, let's say, in 1710, but in 1910 we're dealing with racism. So the issue, that's an issue that is timely today because we still deal with that in our society, So it's like to have the bite of that and to have a diverse cast, which is a bold choice to make, but then for it to allow these stories and for these, these actors to be as good as they are and the rest of it, it's like, it's great because the shock and the awe is there. Also, I don't know the last time I watched something on AMC. It is so TVMA, or let's say R-rated. There is nudity, the language, some of the things they're describing and doing. I'm like, whoa! Talk about, I'm not going to say pornography, but almost the reaction that pornography would give you. I've been clutching my pearls a couple times watching the show, but the material deserves it because if you read the book, it is that. Yeah. So it's like to be able to be if AMC can go ahead and put that on display, they're giving us what's in the book, and it's like we should be clutching our pearls and screaming at the TV with disgust. That's what the story is. It's great. So I'm loving it. I'm a huge fan of this new series. I highly recommend streaming it on AMC Plus or checking it out on AMC. AMC might have it. I don't know if that version will be edited down, though. Right.
Well, AMC is cable, so they can get away with it.
Perhaps.
Yeah, they can get. Well, I'm sure it's. I know one thing being at iHeart, we had that 9 o'clock rule. We could get away with a lot more after 9 p.m.
Oh, nice.
And so I mean maybe so. Well, that's going to be interesting to find out how they're going to do that. Do you have a second to talk about streaming, or do you have to go?
I do have to run.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
One of these days, we got to talk about streaming because of the way people are starting to drop it, like they're cutting their cable cords, and it's like,
That's
do
crazy.
it. Exactly. All right, go do your TV thing. I love you, so you be careful.
I love you too. Thank you so much, and you be safe, and let's catch up soon.